beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Power to the People. I am trying my best. I don't know what's going on with like social media, with my email. I can't search anything. What's going on?
I have no idea.
Is yours okay?
Everything's been.
I can't find the search.
I was going to say everything's been doing a bunch of random updates now,
Right.
so I have no idea what's going on.
Right. Even when I was researching for today's show, it's just like the Buffalo News was updating everything. I can't find my search. Now, I do this every week.
Mm-hmm.
I am on, and I cannot find the search bar for this is nuts. Hold on. I know I have not lost all of my mind. All right, well, I got a lot to talk about. It is, we're live and in living color. We're live because it is overcast outside. When I tell you everything is going crazy, I cannot find Power to the People. All right, well, welcome on Facebook, welcome on YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about all things prisons. Got a lot to talk about. I even have a guest here today that actually is going to help us to talk about his business for a few minutes at the top of the show and what they do. And it's quite interesting. Let me see if I can get it over here. Okay, I'm going to have to come on this one, search Facebook, Power to the People show. I can't get that on my phone.
Oof.
What's going on today?
I have no idea. It's that Friday gloom.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's telling us to hurry up and start the weekend. I think that's what it's.
Oh, I agree. All right. So first of all, let me start out the show. I really took my heart goes out to family of a young man. Tim Newkirk did a lot of work to try to find Jalen Griffin.
Yeah.
Jalen Griffin was found the other day in a house. He went missing almost 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
We did a lot of PR on this show, bringing Tim on, talking about it. There were a lot of people in this community that went out searching for Jalen.
Mm-hmm. I
am really concerned about the amount of youth that are starting to be missing. Like just the other day. Now, this is some weird story. Yesterday, you got 2 kids under teenage years that come up missing.
Yep.
Seen them driving off in the car. Something else is going on, it seemed like, with that, because 2 kids missing.
Yeah, and I think that's where we got to be careful, and I think that's why you have the agencies like Kelly's Project Mona's House and everything, and all these human trafficking awareness, because they're not just being taken or running away. Some people are being trafficked, and I think this is where we got to pay close attention, get all of these informations together in case something happens, whether you're tracking your kid's phone, having updated photos available, because and that's the other thing, you're trying to look for kids but you're bringing a 3-year-old photo, so it's also kind of difficult. So we have to be prepared, because like you said, it's a different day out here.
It is a big different day, and at the end of the day, some of this is domestic stuff.
Yes.
A husband, a baby daddy, whatever, running off with the kids. Because when I read about the 2 that were missing, I'm like, what is going on? It's like almost every day.
Every day.
And one thing that was interesting that I read before we get to the topic, some of the folks who are helping to find these kids are saying that the laws, how they are set up now, for a missing child, the resources are very small.
Right.
Than if it's an abduction. And at the end of the day, you got a missing kid.
Right.
We need to find that missing kid.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, adults know where these kids are.
And are harboring them.
And are harboring them. And they should be arrested.
Yes.
If a child is run away and you're keeping that child, unless that child is in a dangerous situation.
Absolutely.
And if that child is in a dangerous situation, you need to be notifying somebody so that child is not just missing and on the rolls and taking up resources when adults know. Now, this kid, Jalen, leaves the house, going to the store.
Yeah.
And you find him 4 years later in an occupied structure.
In a completely different neighborhood.
In South Buffalo.
South Buffalo.
No smell, no no indication. So, and there's a lot of questions,
Right.
and unfortunately, his mother passed before she would know what happened to her child. But this is a baby, man, and no indication. I mean, of no street stuff. Something happened.
Something definitely
There
happened.
is a murderer out there on the streets,
Right.
and they're counting this a homicide. Definitely got to be a homicide because this kid didn't just go in some room, because they said a maintenance man found him, and crawl in and die. That didn't happen.
No.
Something happened. Somebody knows. And at the end of the day, my heart goes out to his father and to his family who are going through this. But understand, it could be our kids. So I'm saying, and you just said it, Mark, make sure we have updated photos. Be a parent. No, we got all this technology.
Absolutely.
And kids are on TikTok, TikTok, whatever, and everything
Book
else.
in the face and everything.
Make sure, book in the face. Make sure, at this point, go ahead and throw the location on their phone.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead and have a lock on that phone.
Absolutely.
And be able to track your children's whereabouts. This is serious. There was a young lady, and we engaged her one time to find a teenager.
Well, I was getting ready to say, you shouted out Tim Newkirk. I was going to shout out Karima Morris.
Karima
and Buried
Morris.
of Violence, and they do an amazing job. She actually is finding kids sometimes in record hours. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So
And we
people out there.
supported her
Absolutely.
financially when I was on the council so that she could do what she does. And as a matter of fact, she is quoted. That's the one who is asking that the laws change.
Yes.
And I'm not in City Hall anymore, but I 100% support her efforts that we turn up the heat on finding young people who are missing from home. This should be a no-brainer that adults go, you can't stay here.
Absolutely.
I'm calling the police. But that's not going to happen unless some of them get put in jail.
Absolutely.
and I'm not all for throwing everybody in jail, but let one of your children be missing, and it'll be a whole different conversation.
Absolutely.
Now, so my heart goes out to them. Today we're talking all things prison, but I really did want to acknowledge him and acknowledge all of the people and give a big shout out to Tim and all of the teams. He doesn't work alone. Karima, all of those who are out there. Look, that's what a community should do. And so I wanted to say that. Before I get to our guests, jury awards $95 million for the death of inmate Richard Metcalf. 95. Now, I didn't follow this case.
Now, I didn't really.
Yeah.
I remember it early on, but
Yeah.
the trial part I didn't.
Now, so some people are saying that's too much. I don't know where the county's going to get. Now, the county has money.
Yes, the county has a bigger surplus than the city.
But nobody wants to give up $95 million. But now, I'm sure this is going to be appealed.
Yes.
100%. It's going to be appealed. It's going to take years to go again, or a year or so to go back through the appeal process, to be reduced and all that kind of
settlement
stuff.
amounts and all
But I'll read a little bit of it if you haven't heard about this. Erie County and 5 sheriff's office jail deputies must pay at least $95 million in damages to the father of a holding center inmate who died after they restrained him in 2012. 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It took, what's that, 12 years?
Yes, sir.
Dang. The jury also determined there should be punitive damages against each of the 5 current and former deputies, an amount that will be subject to a hearing later this month. Now, what you have to understand is that's not being paid by the deputies.
No.
That's being paid by the county
Yep.
because they are an employee of the county.
Yes,
Jurors
sir.
in the civil case delivered their verdict after 10 weeks of witness testimony and arguments from attorneys. The only part of their verdict that wasn't unanimous was on a question about the actions of EMTs, emergency medical technicians. The jury, which unlike in a criminal trial, was not required to be unanimous.
Yes.
So that's $95 million
9-5.
of tax dollars. Now, we're going to talk about tax dollars today and how they should be spent in courts. I mean, in prisons. We're going to talk a little bit about jail phone calls.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about People still trying to take contraband in jail. They're getting caught left and right. Now, I'm sure some of them not getting caught, but I got an article about that.
Yeah.
Every week I keep reading about people. Folks, and one woman got arrested for allegedly bringing in some prison contraband. She had her baby with her.
Yeah. They put it right in the baby bag, yeah. Or
Well,
in the baby
She had
clothes.
hers in the bra.
Oh, yeah, that happens too.
Before
I
I
think
get
I
to the
remember
guest.
that. I think I remember
No,
that.
this just happened.
Yeah,
this just
I
happened.
remember that story.
Hold on. Woman charged, and I'm not going to read her name and stuff all on this show. Oh, no, this is a Long Island woman. I'm going to read this. A Long Island woman was arrested in Erie County Correctional Facility on Tuesday and charged with attempting to bring contraband into prison. I'm not going to read her name. 28-year-old was charged with first-degree promoting prison contraband, tampering with physical evidence, fifth-degree conspiracy, endangering the welfare of a child. Garcia said the woman was taken into custody when she arrived at the prison with her 3-month-old infant.
3 months.
Mama, you just gave birth. Mama, you just gave birth. A search found a latex ball in her bra containing suspected K2. You definitely don't need K2. Do you know what that does to your brain? A synthetic drug, a black bag containing more suspected K2. Oh no, this is in her waistband. The child was turned over to now your kid, because you trying to take some spice in prison in your bra.
Yep.
They see the lot, ma.
I don't know what they thought. Maybe down in Long Island they can get away with that,
But
they
not up
search
here.
Not up here.
Not up here. I got a special guest with me. Tell them your name, bro.
My name is Michael June.
Michael June. Michael, you called me. You reached out to me about a business that you have right now, but that you are officially launching out there, and it deals with prisons.
Yes.
And it was your conversation that I decided, if I'm going to talk about that, I'm just going to talk about prisons today. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Tell me about your business.
Well, my business basically provide transportation to people in the community that want to go to the state penitentiary facilities to visit their incarcerated family and friends.
So which state facilities do you go to?
So it's Windy. So it's in the Windy hub. So it's Windy, Groveland, Collins, Attica, Wyoming, and Windy State.
So these are our state prisons.
State prisons.
Now, I don't know if you know, right now on the budget, being negotiating the budget, is to close at least 5 of these prisons. I wonder which ones, and I'm going to read some of the articles. How did you get started in this business and why?
I was formerly incarcerated.
Okay.
So I know how important it was for me to get visits and how important it was for other people that I was incarcerated with to get visits. Everybody wanted to visit, you know, so it was difficult. So what people would do, like if I'm from Buffalo and we're in the same prison and I know you from the streets or we got to know each other and your girlfriend is coming and my girlfriend don't have a ride, can I give you a couple of dollars because she ride with your girlfriend so that we could get a visit? So it's a lot of that going on, a lot of carpooling, but there's no official service that's reliable and consistent and official.
But you are.
But I am.
You are. What's the name of your company?
Sunrise Transportation of Western New York.
So if a person has you go to all of those prisons every day?
No, I have a schedule. So like one weekend I will go to a couple prisons and the next weekend. So it'll be on a rotating schedule.
So you go. So these are really close to each other.
Yes,
the
the furthest one is an hour and a half, which is Groveland.
So you take people, and there's a cost for it, of course.
Yes, there is.
And you take them, drop them off, and pick them up at a specific time?
Yep.
So tell me your schedule, that if you know it, what is it?
So I had a previous schedule, and I don't have that schedule anymore. So I'm in works with trying to see if I could possibly get to more prisons on one particular day as opposed to what I used to do. So the schedule will be official on the day of launch.
On the day of launch,
Yes.
you will introduce your new schedule.
Yep.
If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
JE@sunrisetransportationwny.com.
JE@sunrisetransportationwny, which is West New York.com.
Yes.
And people can look back at our Facebook, or they can look back at our YouTube and be able to grab that information. So it's all by email.
For now, So
Okay.
I'm working on it's a lot to bring everything together, and I got a lot of different people working on things.
Okay.
So everything will be complete by May 4th.
Okay.
Which is the official launch, when the rollout of the website and all the flyers, brochures getting sent out, and everything like that.
So now I didn't know this part about that you were formerly incarcerated. So
Yes.
I do want to include you in a part of this conversation if you don't mind.
I know a lot about what you was already talking
All
about.
right. So there is a proposal right now to give prisoners, give those who were incarcerated, who are getting out. Right now they get $40. I think
Yep, $40.
$40,
And a Metro card.
a Metro card, and a see you later. Is that adequate?
It's
in your opinion?
It's definitely not. I came home with $40, so it's not adequate at all.
So they give you $40 in cash, and you
No.
walk out. Oh, you don't even get it.
It's
in
not cash.
What is it?
It's on the card.
Like a
if you,
debit card.
Yeah, and if you have money in your account, your personal money, they give it to you in a check.
Okay, so you get your personal money back when you leave. You get $40.
Yep.
So when you walk out of those prison doors, is somebody there? I mean, you got to get transportation home.
No, if you don't have transportation home, they give you a bus ticket. They
Okay,
drop you off at the local bus station near the prison, and then you catch your bus to your home.
And you got $40.
And you
So
have
there-
$40.
there's
The
a
clothes on your back and your property.
and that's it.
Yep.
There's a proposal in the Assembly
And the Senate.
and the Senate
Yes.
to give those who were incarcerated $2,500, $400.
$400 a month for $400 for the first 6 months they're out.
$400 for the first 6 months. What do you think about that?
Depends on how they going to pay them.
Okay.
Where they going to come up with the money, because they say we'll give you $2,500, but they might make you pay for it during your incarceration. Like take money out of your account and put it up for you.
Okay.
And then say, "Oh, we giving you $2,500," but
Well,
really,
this would be all from the state because
All from the state?
Yes.
This is all from the state.
Okay.
They're trying to put it in the state, but there's some people who are trying to carry this bill through the state budget to give. Now, the opposite side is people are going to say, and let me say this, folks. I want you to know where I'm at on this. I'm just bringing up what's out there.
Right.
I have worked in my undergrad degree is in criminal justice. I have worked in the prison system. I had a class that I taught in Attica.
Wow.
I would go to Attica every week, and it was a class. You were certificate for it called Talk, and it was talking always leads to not. Come in, dude. I'm talking about you. Talking always leads to knowledge, and so I was in Attica. Not let me take that back,
right.
because it'll get replay. Dude, you always Now, first of all, did you know Tim and our families come from the same town in North Carolina?
I did not know that.
Yeah, little town, Burgaw, North Carolina. Our families know each other. Alice, everybody. So we go back a long way. I'm going to finish. I have in studio, and this is I thank you, the father of the young man. So please call somebody. We have him here, of the young man we were talking about, Jalen.
Wow.
And in a few minutes, I'm going to talk to him because, I want to talk to him. And I'm honored. Thanks, Tim. Thanks. So you get out $40. So some people are going to say, why should we spend tax dollars to help someone who committed a crime?
well, if you want my honest answer, is because the state penitentiary system doesn't really do nothing to rehabilitate individuals while they're incarcerated.
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead.
It's like, you gotta give them if you're not doing it in there, you gotta give them at least a little push when they get out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Financial push.
Yeah, I like I said, I taught in Attica for a while. I think it's always important to try to rehabilitate people.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to put them back out on the street, and I mean, if you committed a crime and you're doing the time, that time while you're in, because I know people went. I don't know if they still had college programs, but I know people went, and I know that people on one side of the argument say, "Don't use my money."
Right.
to help somebody else. And I told this story in Bible study last night for the first time ever of how I could have ended up in jail as a teenager. I had an illegal gun. Have no idea who it was registered to. I bought it in a friggin' barbershop. And I'm being honest about it because of this. Often people look at preachers or anybody else and think, oh, they ain't never. I could have been in jail. So I don't judge anybody else who has come out on a side of the track because I don't know their life. Right. I don't know what they've been through. So at the end of the day, I don't have any judgment for another man or woman alive. I don't judge anybody on drugs. I don't judge anybody doing anything because we don't know their life, right? But at the end of the day, I do know that if a person is serving time, a lot of times they become even more criminalized inside. Because you're around other people, right. There's all these other influences. And so now if I don't have anything to do but either be in the yard, lift weights, I'm learning some new skills for when I get out because that $40 ain't going to really make it for me.
It's not.
So I am all in for whatever is going to help, especially those who have been struggling. Because let's be honest, we live in a world, in a society that it's rough to make it if, number one, I don't have education.
Absolutely.
Right.
Number two, if I've been miseducated. And number three, now I'm in this system, in this recidivism, and I get out and baby mama saying, yo, we got to feed this baby. The probation officer or parole officer is saying, yo, you need to do something productive. The people who are employing is going, we don't want you here. That's why I always say big ups to Damone Smith when he was on the council, and I voted for this to get rid of the question on your application. Ban the box that said, have you at least give me an interview first. At least meet me first before you say you don't want me to work for you. Mm-hmm. Listen, at 12:30 in 6 minutes, I'm going to be talking to Jalen's dad, be talking to Tim Newkirk. We're going to be talking. They are in the studio. They are in the studio. So let somebody know. You've heard him, little snippets on the news. He's going to get to stretch out and say whatever he wants to at 12:30 on the only Black-owned AM and FM station in the city of Buffalo. So don't hear 2 minutes of him. Don't judge what he's saying based on 30-second snip, because I'm going to tell you this right now. The news only puts on what's going to bring you there. He's going to tell you whatever he wants to at the 12:30 hour. Let me finish up this. So you were incarcerated. Where were you at when you were incarcerated?
I've been to a few places. I was at Windy. I was at Wyoming, Livingston, Collins,
Was this all under one or several situations?
2 situations.
All right, so 2 situations, you end up in several places.
Yep.
You're saying, and I believe this, visits are important.
Of course.
Phone calls are astronomically high.
Yes.
Yes.
Are the phone calls important too?
Extra important.
See, so I think we have to look at prison, when we look at talking about prison reform, when we talk about all those things, for those who don't live in neighborhoods where people have been incarcerated, they don't care.
Yes.
It's like, so what? Don't spend no money over there. Don't do this. For those of us who had cousins and uncles, and let's be for real, because we can act like you. First of all, you could be accused of anything at any time
and be in the holding center.
Yep. So this is why, folks, I don't have judgment on nobody. Anybody can be accused wrongfully or rightfully, end up in jail, end up locked up. Rashid White and I, when we were 20-something years old, I had a show on public access called, that 59-year-old, All About You. And it was all about youth. But we ended up being able to take a camera into the holding center.
Wow.
Camera and record. And they let me go right to the holding center. They were on the floor with cots and all that kind of stuff. Folks, be careful how you judge somebody else's life. Trust me, you can wake up in the morning and your whole life can change on a lie.
And to your point, when I went to that conference in Phoenix, the Fair Fees and Fines, part of that conference, we were talking about what we did for traffic. Part of that conference was about municipalities that waived the fees for phone calls for prisoners. And I was sitting there like, I didn't know this was a big deal.
Right.
But like nationwide, there is municipalities, I think San Francisco is one, got rid of all the fees for phone calls for inmates and things like that. So it is a huge push, and it is super important that we do look at fines and fees across the board that are prohibiting, like you said, the benefit to even our least, and those are incarcerated, because you can treat them like criminals and they're going to continue to act like criminals. So
I say you treat everybody regardless. You treat them right. And at the end of the day, when I found out how much phone calls cost,
Yep.
find out how difficult it is for people to visit, because there is no transportation
Right.
that just goes, and you're providing that service now.
Yes.
Your grand opening, tell them your grand opening before I go to commercials.
My grand opening is May 4th, and that's when all the services roll out officially and consistently.
And where will the grand opening be? Is that for the public or?
Oh,
for
no, it's an invite.
Invited guests, and then you'll come back. You're gonna give us your schedule, and I'm doing this because I recognize when you locked up, and I've never been locked up, but I know people, and I get letters every other day from people who are locked up, and we try to write them back, whether it's just a bulletin or a scripture, because when you down and you don't have nobody there, you don't have anybody there, it's I'm sure time is harder.
Yeah, keep getting skipped on that mail call, you're going to be sick.
You're going to be sick, right? So I'm glad that you're doing what you do. I appreciate you coming on the show, talking about this, because I just think it's so important. Folks, in 2 minutes, after I pay the bills, in 2 minutes, I am honored to have this man in the studio. I'm honored to have Tim, his team, in the studio. I'm going to put them behind the mic, and we're going to talk about this dad, his son, what his thoughts are. He can say whatever he wants, and I want you to hear it. So call somebody right now. Tell them to tune into the radio, get on our Facebook page, share it right now, those of you on the radio, and let them know that Jalen's dad is here. Young man, 4 years missing, 4 years missing, just found, and unfortunately not found alive. Listen, I'm coming over to the studio to pay the bills in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo: 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally, 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free, 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
The tragic news, this outreach, nothing short of tragic. Body of Buffalo youth who went missing 2020 is found death-ruled homicide. Death-ruled homicide. The body of Jalen Griffin, the Buffalo youth who went missing almost 4 years ago, was found Friday morning. What police announced Monday has become a homicide investigation. The remains found in a house in 100 block of Sheffield Avenue in South Buffalo have been in the home for, quote, a significant amount of time, according to Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramalia said during an afternoon press conference, the Erie County Medical Examiner's Office, which confirmed Jalen's identity Monday through dental records, ruled his death a homicide. We have with us his dad, and we have Tim Newkirk. Tim, you have been on this from the very beginning, you and your team, because you had people out there. Tell us how you got involved first.
First of all, I got involved with the people you see right here. This was the integral part of this investigation. It started with a name. The name came across doing a memorial, a vigil for the death of Jawan Griffin, 18-year-old, in November. And when I read the name, I talked to Pastor Giles. He wanted me to do the vigil as we do, to get prepared to do the homicide funeral, which you and I do, been doing for years. That's the first platform you allowed me to just take and use at my own discretion.
Absolutely.
So when I read the name, I said, I know the Griffins. I know some Griffins. And then it was brought in my ear by my colleague, Deacon Bostic. He said, it sounds like Griff and Joanne. You know Ponzo. I said, I know the Ponzo. I know Griff. He said, it might be kin and a relation. As we're saying that, he comes over. He had a hood on. He's crying. He got glasses on. He got a cane. And I'm like, because the last time I seen him, he was standing straight up walking. Proud, popular person in the community, very flamboyant. But now I see him more so broken down, and I can tell by doing homicide funerals in the families of victims who suffered. You can always tell the mother and the father by the way their eyes are. So when I seen his eyes, he just fell and collapsed into my arms. So when he collapsed into my arms, I said, who was this young man? He said, my son.
Wow.
And when he said it, Deacon Bostic had grabbed, I said, come over here, let's pray. We held him, and we embraced him. And I told him then we were with him. Thinking about Jawan only, he said, you think that's bad? My son, my baby, has been missing since August 8th.
Oh, so let me follow this. You're doing the vigil for his other son.
Yes.
At that vigil, he brings up my other son.
He said, my baby, my little boy. I said, which one, the young Jalen? He says, Jalen, because I remember doing the Christmas carol during Christmas time with Jalen doing the hot chocolate and the cocoa and putting the leaves on the tree at Pastor Walker's church.
Okay.
And I remember him then, and I said, oh, where he at? He said, I don't know. He went missing in August. And I said, did you call the police? He said, yeah, I called him several times to report him as a missing person. They said he was a runaway. I said, no, he can't be no runaway. Where he at? He said, well, they kept saying he's just a runaway and he'd come back. I said, now that 12 years old. So I said, okay, don't worry about it. We here because we got to get past this first. Tomorrow when we do the funeral, if he's not there, then I'll deal with it. We got to the funeral, we did the service, and I asked the question in the middle of the funeral service, where is Jalen Griffin? Where's Jalen Griffin? And everybody turned around and looked at each other, and they said, he's not here. He ain't showed up yet. I said, Jalen Griffin, come up to the front, because his wife, Joanne, was at the front. She would not leave the casket. So we were on the side of the funeral home during the service, and I told him, let him remain like we do. That's how she's grieving. Let her alone.
That's right. That's right.
He never showed. He never came to the repast. That's when immediately I told him I'll take it from there. Operation Where is Jalen Griffin evolved. I called you and told you, and you said, whatever you need from me, let's get this out. I called Spectrum News. I called Brandon Lewis, who was at Spectrum News at the time, and I called the police department, and I said, we have a problem.
Yeah.
There's been a major mistake.
Yeah.
And somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah.
This young man has been missing since August, and now he's nowhere to be found. We don't have much time. We don't have much room to work with. And it became viral after that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where we ended up right here in this place on your radio show, right here, the People's Radio Show, Power to the People. And then also it went viral on Spectrum News. We went right back to the scene on Memorial where we did the interview, and then people started calling saying that's a shame. And as you already know, putting up billboards, getting the team of search parties together, looking and looking. I never turned and said it was done. I told Joanne Ponzo when she was on her deathbed that I would not stop looking for her, said I would not stop searching, and my team wouldn't either. And I'm only here today just because of one thing. This is his platform. This is his time. I just wanted to make a clarion call to all the men right now on your show. I'm looking to see the men at 2:00 tomorrow at 878 Humboldt Parkway at GYC Ministries at the church. I don't care what religion you have. I don't care what God you serve or what God you pray to. But we as men are absent from the front line as the gatekeepers. For people to come into the community and believe and think that there's no men present, there's no strong men, there's no alpha males of the household, or even if in or out of relationship, we do have gatekeepers, and they are men.
Absolutely.
But when you look at media, you look at all the way in which they depict our community, it's always the female or at the front. And I don't have anything against them, but it gives anybody else an opportunity to surveil our area and to look at it as there's nobody on the front lines that are men.
I'm going to be talking to Dad in just a second, but I want to ask you this last question. You all went over to South Buffalo.
Yes.
Why?
We had leads that we were taking every leads. I was the family spokesperson and still is. They would give me the leads. Most people thought that the family was not involved. It was some foul play, that there might even been a conflict of interest. He might even been a person of suspicion in this case.
12 years old.
12 years
Let
old.
me just say this.
Yeah, let's get down to it.
12 daggone years old is not a criminal. He a
Right.
kid. He a
Right.
baby. 12 years
Let's
old.
get down. I'm mad.
And at the end of the day, anybody want to throw that kind of dirt
Yeah.
around? You know, I can't say certain words because I love the Lord. But if I wasn't on this air, wouldn't get beeped and all that. That's foul. That's foul for it to come out of anybody's mouth.
Yes.
Dad is with us. Dad, welcome to the show. I watched you on the news. Tell me where you at right now.
First of all, I appreciate you for having me. It's been a very long, hard, and difficult journey. Oh, boy. It's rough at this moment, you know. First, I lost. He's been missing since August the 4th, 2020. Mm-hmm. Jawan was murdered November 23rd, 2020. Mm-hmm. Now we just lost their mother September 18th, 2023. So, I mean.
So here's some hard questions.
Yes.
Do you think the death of your sons are related in any way?
Of course I do. Absolutely. I can't say who, though, at this present time, because I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
I don't have my main thing was having confirmation and closure on finding my son.
Yeah.
I got that now. Although it didn't go the way I wanted to, I was looking for a positive outcome. I prayed for a positive outcome, but I accepted. I don't question God's work.
And some things I'm not going to ask you because it's under investigation, and I don't want to screw up anybody's investigation because I want the killer of your son to be found. So I'm not going to take advantage. I know where my limits are. So I want to talk. Are arrangements being made right now for your son?
Well, they're supposed to be made this afternoon.
All right. So you know how I am. Anything you need from the True Bethel Church, we right there for you.
Appreciate you.
I feel like because we've been in this for 4 years, I feel like that was kind of like my nephew, you know, something like that. And I think as a man, and like Tim was saying, that's how we have to feel. Whether I've ever met him or not is not important to me. What's important to me is as a dad, I feel for you. I don't feel what you feel.
Right.
So this community has to wrap its arms around you and your family. You have any other children?
Yes, I have 4 other children.
How are they doing?
They're doing pretty good. I mean, they're pretty upset and distraught. But, you know, it's going to ease as time go on. But they're pretty encouraged that he's been found.
Yeah.
But not by how he was found.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're taking it pretty rough, though.
Did you ever have any indication that he would be on that side of town?
Never. I can't imagine how he would get out there. You know, I'm trying to say, you know, I would say Jalen was more of a follower. He would go with other people, but he never was a runaway. They listed him as a runaway. He never was a runaway. He was always a mama's boy. You know, by him being gone overnight, I knew something was wrong right then and there.
So he had never been gone overnight like that?
If he did, we had consent.
Right.
We knew where he was.
But never just walked out of the house and ain't come back. That wasn't this kid.
No.
And that's why I wanted people to hear your voice. I'm so grateful that you're here. because people will make a scenario, and a lot of times it's people who look like us.
Right.
And they'll make a scenario. Oh, he must have been out there gang banging. He must have been doing drugs. He must have been selling drugs. None of that is true.
No.
I want to say that. You hear it from his dad. You have no reason to lie. You have found your son. There has been no indication of that to this point. He went out to go to the store.
Exactly.
And that was it. Tell me about the day they called you to tell you.
They never called me.
Okay.
They never called me. They got in contact with his other part of the family, his grandmother and them. Well, they never actually reached out to me. I got a phone call from my sister. She said, "Did you hear anything about Jalen?" I says, "No." "Why you ask that?" She said, "Because our cousin called and your niece called me and said that Jalen's been found." She never told me how he was found, so she said, "Hang up the phone, I'm going to call you right back." So I hung up, she called me right back. She said, "Put the TV on channel 4. As soon as I turned to channel 4, and got him right there.
In fairness, did they have your contact number? Did anybody?
Oh, for sure. The detectives and everything had been by my premises, and we talked and everything.
Mm-hmm. So you find out from the news.
Exactly.
Take me to that moment.
It was a difficult moment. The first thing that they said was, he's been found. Jalen Griffin has been found after 3.5 years, but it's a tragic end.
That's where you found out.
Yes. And I just, tried to walk away, because it's been a long time. But I was glad that I had composure and closure that he was found alone. Mm-hmm. Because before that, I couldn't even get him home going.
Yeah.
At just missing.
Yeah.
Now at least I can put him to rest.
Yeah. People are on social media giving your condolences, Marie Collins. The empathy is powerful. Madeline Scott, my deepest sympathy. Marie Collins, condolences. This community, I want you to know, is with you at this hour. You and your family, both sides of Jalen's family, is so important that whoever did this, that they know that there are still people who are concerned about it, that there are still people who are not going to just let it rest. Because I think if we let it rest, it's your son this time. It could be my child next time. And this is so important. People, I hope, will come forth with information. There are anonymous ways of giving information. People should come forward. If you know something, say something. You cannot allow, if there is somebody out there that's murdering 12-year-olds, or however old he was when he was murdered,
right,
they'll murder any of us at the end of the day. What do you want people to know about you, your family, that you think they may not know, or that they're, your ears to the street? You know what people say.
Well, I would say, as far as our family, Jalen we had a very tight-knit family. Everybody had their own certain ways about themselves, but Jalen was never one to just venture off and go away and stay overnight. Every time he left out, he said, "Mom, Dad, I'm going out now." He never left out and didn't return the same day. So I knew something was wrong right then and there.
Not hanging on corners.
No, he would go to the corner store, Broadway and Sears, and open and close the door for people and carry their bags.
He should be able to go to the on corner store.
What I mean?
So he was carrying bags to the car.
He would go from there, he'd go to Broadway Market and save a lot, and did the same thing. He did this every morning to make him a couple extra dollars. And everybody in the neighborhood knew Jalen. He was a very fun-loving kid.
Yeah.
And just one day he left and never returned.
I can't even imagine a 12-year-old leaving and not returning. There is a woman right now who was quoted in one of the articles talking about the laws right now, or the procedures when you say run away, and how little resources are spent for runaways who are categorized as runaway. Jalen wasn't a runaway.
Right.
When he left that house that day, was there any problems going on? Was there any arguments that happened?
We had nothing at home going on for him to leave and not want to come back.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
So just a mystery.
Yes, I would say so.
Word on the street, huh?
Word on the street that he could have been moved because they knew that at some point in time, as the elements changed, that body and the process and the time of, the different exposure to elements would have kept a stench stronger than what they reported on Sheffield. And we believe that this is a case where it was getting too much popularity. I wasn't giving up, and the community and people and organizations that supported the Where's Jalen Griffin operation was not giving up. It was always going to be brought up. People would contact me. We even had the marshals. We had a joint search, which we started here on Tierra Lott and Jalen Griffin. And I remember getting permission from Tierra Lott's mom to help me use this time and this platform to help look for Jalen, who was still missing. And at her weakest moment, she said, "Why wouldn't I?"
Yeah.
And we started using every effort, even with the marshals, when Andre Wiggingham was a suspect of interest and he was he was considered armed and dangerous. We also asked the marshals, and they said if the police department and the detectives are willing to let us come in, then we would do everything we can to assist. So a lot of different opportunities came because of the Jalen Griffin and because of the exposure that we were getting from the community. And the community definitely played a major part, because anytime they seen Pastor Newkirk on there, they would bring up, we're still praying for the family about Jalen Griffin's return. So we ended Operation Where's Jalen Griffin to now becoming Who Killed Jalen Griffin.
Yeah.
The bottom line, as a father, I'm a father, we are all fathers, we are men.
Yep.
We want to know, word on the street, as men and as a community, now who killed Jalen Griffin?
Yeah.
And if we don't expose that out, if we don't push that out, if we don't stand on principle, and the word on the street is, we standing on business.
Yeah.
Who killed Jalen Griffin?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Operation Who Killed Jalen Griffin?
Because we're not talking about you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah.
All right, if you out there and you gangbanging, you killing, and you get killed, I ain't saying that's right, but it's a lot different.
It's a lot different
than a 12-year-old who leaves home with his parents in the home, who is working, going out, carrying bags. We used to do that little stuff, trying to find little ways to make money. That ain't criminal. That's honorable.
Yes.
A kid going to the store helping people carry their bags. Not, I'm going to say it again. You hear it on this show. Not gangbanging, not selling drugs, did not leave out of a house like that. He left out of a house with a mother and a father who loved him and never came home. Right. Something has to be wrong with you if you don't feel. And let me just say this. I wouldn't give a daggone if he was. He's 12 years old. I got a 13-year-old. How old is my grandbaby? 12. She just turned 12. I got a 12-year-old grandbaby. She leave the house, and the reason I'm making such a fuss about this is because if it's my kid, I'm going to be doing it. So for somebody else, when we have these platforms, we should be doing it for each other. I don't care who you are, whether you have a title or whatever it is. We all are human beings. The kid left the house. Somebody knows something out there. He did not end up in that house by himself. Somebody had access to that house. Somebody had keys to that house. Somebody had a way to get in that house and deposit that body.
That's right.
They did. And somebody knows.
That's right.
And if you sit back and you're silent, you agree with the murder of a 12-year-old. What's next steps now?
Next step is to do the birthday and candlelight vigil, which would be Monday at 6 p.m. at Memorial Drive in that Paderewski Circle, and then to get ready to do the homegoing service, but never stopping to beat the concrete, beat the streets for information. Again, like you said, there's confidential tip lines you can call. You can reach out. My number is still working. It is active, and I'm not afraid to get that information out. I had people calling me for ransom money, pranks, and I still entertain every call that came in, every text that came in, 716-770-9093, again, 716-770-9093, and we're going to be here to support them, but I'm asking the men to get together for we can talk and unite on word on the streets, who killed Jalen Griffin and why we are needed in our community, because what happens when the cameras come in the inner city, the east side, they're going right to women who are pretty much at the weakest and most vulnerable state, and it shows us as what vacant.
Well, I was glad to see you, Dad, on the news, and to see a man who was in his child's life, because often it's like there's nobody in the life, single mother. When you got on, it brought it made it seem a lot different.
It hit different.
It hit different. It hit, good word. It hit different to see you on and to have you on the show, to put a face and to know the real situation. Because, I mean, news only has minutes to seconds, really.
Correct.
But for you to be able to come on, and Tim, I know you got a show, and your show airs at what time?
On Thursdays at 10.
So you were
PM
on yesterday.
Yeah, we the whole conversation was about the Jalen Griffin. If you're not talking about that, I don't want to know about Rick Ross. I don't want to know about Future. I don't want to know about things that does not have any concern with our inner city and our generational wealth. But this is things that matter in my community. So
Don talked about, and we just talked about that, 2 kids were, it says, abducted yesterday from Jasper Parish. That was so we got something going on here. And this is with little kids. And if we're not concerned about children in our community, whether it's being abducted, being murdered, not being found, we cannot normalize this at all. We cannot make it seem like this is okay. You lost 2 children.
Yes.
And your wife.
Yes.
How do you deal with that day by day?
It's very difficult. I mean, I pray on it. I just got to pray on it. Put it in God's hand. I mean, it's very stressful at times, and I have someone very dear to talk to at times when the time in need.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's a hurting feeling.
Yeah. So, folks, listen, Tim, give the number again. If anybody is out there, Mark, I don't know if you have anything you want, but if anybody's out there, they want to get in contact with you, doing the right thing is always the right thing.
716-770-9093. As it was on the billboard, it never changed, and it won't change. We're looking for justice. There's no justice, there's no peace. How can it be peace, Bishop? You from the streets, you from the hood. You know what it's like to walk around knowing that part has not been concluded. There needs to be justice for the Griffin family, because where there's no justice, there's no peace. And, again, who killed Jalen Griffin?
That's the new question. Who
question.
killed? Somebody killed him. And somebody knows. And somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we want this dad to rest in his mind. And, sir, I know mental health, we don't talk about it a lot, but I pray if you need the services, you get them, talk, get it out. Because what I don't see in you is rage, and that's good. Because you know the street.
Yeah, for sure. I've been there, and, I mean, vengeance is not for us, I believe in that. But, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out who would do that to a child.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to even try to understand. I have no understanding.
What grade was he in when he went missing?
He was going into the 6th grade.
He's going into sixth grader. That's heavy. Is there, Tim? Are we seeing an uptick in missing kids?
It's always been
at the
there.
end. Where are most of these kids being found, or what's going on? Because that's not the story of Jalen, by the way.
Right. A lot of these kids are being lured in. A lot of these kids are being, they're being preyed on. And like you said, Jalen was not more of a leader type of kid. He was more of a follower. So a lot of manipulation and a lot of social media and a lot of things that's on TV is an attraction to a teenager, to a kid. And when you start talking about dollars, and it's movies been made for years about how to utilize your ability to prey on a kid. That's why if you don't have any consent, you cannot do it. Mm-hmm. Because if I pull up 4 videos of kids playing and things that they like Nickelodeon, and I'm not being biased or anything, but if I bring up something that makes me common, we as pastors know relationship builds trust. So everything is based on relationship. I don't think anybody is just being grabbed and snatched as much as being lured and talked into it, because now there's no resistance. And like I mentioned, when we went over to Sheffield, we looked at the terrain, we looked at the area. If Jalen would have walked that far. If he would have got to Bailey and Broadway, he would have felt like he was being he was out of the neighborhood. Going over there in South Buffalo was probably to him like going to Chicago. It was probably like going to Atlantic City because it was so far from where he's known to be. And whatever area he went outside of the Broadway community, he would have felt that this is not going to end well and this don't look right. And the minute that he became alarmed and aware that it's not safe, nobody do random, but something is impulse is always given to all of us. God allowed us to have the ability to have an impulse. And I know that most kids have an impulse. They have to follow their impulse. They have to follow the notion. Somebody is touching me the wrong way. Somebody is too nice to me. Somebody is too much on my side. They're not disagreeing with anything. Now you have somebody who's being preyed on by a predator. And that's their way of getting things done, I think.
What were you about to say, Mark?
I was getting ready to just agree that by the time you cross Bailey, that Bailey Bridge, you're going into McKinley, you start getting to Abbott, you like, this ain't my neighborhood.
Right.
So I agree completely with
I don't know your son. I know your son didn't just run away.
No,
He didn't run away. From what you are telling me,
no.
your son didn't run away. Final words, Dad?
I would just like to say I'd like to appreciate everyone who helped out on this matter at hand. Everyone, the community, Pastor Newkirk, Deacon. I appreciate all you guys because without you, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, Deke, I want to thank God for you because you do more than just have the title of a deacon. You're doing the work of a deacon and a man. Hobson's a Dr. Dry Cleaning, 874 East Delavan. Take your clothes over to Hobson. They are there to serve you. Thank you, Mrs. Hobson, for keeping the bills paid so we can have these important conversations. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home in your hour of need, 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, 1275 Sycamore. In your hour of need, the number is 845-5545, 845-5545. I'm throwing it back over to the station. Until next week, power to the people.